Yes, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about an anime which I just finished, and I'm gonna try and be doing these kinds of videos more often in the future now because I feel like do it a lot more, but then I kind of stopped doing that. Um, because I would say that I would just include it in these massive rankings I do, but because of the fact that I did said massive ranking 6 months ago and it's already massively outdated, and that was like 154 animes and it's already massively outdated because I'm almost at 200. I'm gonna start doing this again because I kind of miss doing it. So the show I'm going to be talking about in this video, technically not an anime, technically it's a donghua because it's made by Bilibili, which is a Chinese company, although they did partner with Aniplex. I don't know, maybe you consider it an anime. I'm gonna call it an anime for these purposes, because like I call Link Click an anime, it's made by the same director. It's Hero X. Um and uh Hero X was just absolute generational fumble for me for waiting so long to watch this show. I should have watched it when it was airing, dude. Although I'm kind of glad I didn't actually, because the cliffhangers, if I was watching this week to week, that shit might have drove me crazy actually. Um, because man, I don't even know where to start. Okay, so let me start with this. This show is a true love letter to animation. That is the best way I can describe it. This show is tied with Arcane for having the coolest animation in any show I've ever seen. Like, it switches between so many different, styles. Um, and, a good majority of it is in 2D animation. Um, Especially the a lot of the middle part. Um, but there's and I feel like I can notice there's sometimes ever slight differences in the way that certain characters are designed and the sort of specific style that they are animated in. I could be totally making something up by saying that, but I do feel like there are some kind of subtle differences that are noticeable like that. Excuse me. Um, but also the first bit of episodes and also a little bit of the last few are in 3D animation. And this 3D animation is legitimately some of the cleanest, some of the best looking 3D animation I've ever seen, which is absolutely insane. And the fact that there are just some sequences where it literally switches between the styles at the snap of a finger and I'll get to the person who does that by snapping their fingers in a little while, believe me. Um, but the fact that it does that just on a fucking whim is absolutely ridiculous. And every single style or unique kind of animation, it all looks incredible. All of the fights are just extremely flashy, but they also are, in addition to being extremely cinematically impressive, the choreography of all these fights is also really good because it makes use of these superheroes' very, very unique powers in a really cool way. And I think that transitions very nicely into the fact that this show has a really fucking cool power system because the whole idea is that heroes have a trust rating, which is like the amount that people believe in the hero that they support. Like how much they trust and support the hero to do to get rid of villains and all that stuff. And if the trust increases, then they get stronger, and if the trust decreases, then they get weaker, or they might succumb to another substance known as fear, which is sort of like the opposite thing, and it's like these two counterbalancing elements which both make heroes stronger, but um they have very different effects, and it's just a really really interesting comparison. Um and like the way that it's revealed that like Mr. Shand and other like top level exec people are like using fear to manipulate the image of heroes, and like how that goes with the like what was thought about the system of trust. Like the world building in this show is so cool. Um and um and like what I love this, I immediately was hooked into the world of To Be Hero X because it immediately checks off the one big check mark that I look for in good world building, which is, can I be dropped into this world and not have to have a a multiple episodes worth of exposition from the very beginning as to how everything in that world came to be in that place. More reveals later on are perfectly fine. In fact, that can often be another good sign of great world building. But like, you know, if I'm able to be dropped into the world and I can understand what's going on without a shit ton of exposition, then that is good world building to me. And To Be Hero X immediately accomplishes that, and it goes beyond that step because the plot structure is super super unique because it's sort of like these multi-episode short stories, if you will. Um and it's about like the rise of various heroes, and yet they're not exactly like separated or episodic because they all take place at different points in the timeline, which is like however many years after commission, which I still don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's like when the commission was formed and like after the whole Dawnfall incident that was talked about, but I'm still not completely sure about it, which makes me more curious for a season two. Um, and like it sort of introduces all of these different heroes who have like very tragic backstories, a lot of them, but then like certain parts of their narratives tend to connect with each other, and the next hero, like side, like main story is based on a character that is a hero that even if they're only briefly mentioned was present in the previous one. So like the show starts out with Nice. Nice mentions Esol. The next one is Esol. Esol uh part of that is a Lucky Cyan concert. The next one is Lucky Cyan. Lucky Cyan is friends with Queen. Queen's is the next one on top of that. And then in the next one, I mean, you get my point. I'm not gonna talk about every single one, but you get my point. It's like it's honestly genius storytelling and genius world progression because of the way that you are experiencing something new, and yet it still feels like an old story, but then but then it's not because it like connects because like the later on that we get, the more recent that we get with these hero origin stories, and thus the more recently they sort of tend to connect into the plot, which is just really really interesting. And so the world building and progression is just honestly like masterpiece level material because it is such a good understanding of how to tell a compelling story and also how to progress a bigger narrative at the same time. It might be some of the best like storytelling I've seen in anime in a long time. Um and obviously, all of these little um hero stories, main stories have to have compelling characters, and that's exactly what they do. Nice or Lin Ling, who's thrust into the role of Nice. Superhero X might have one of the craziest first episodes of an anime I've ever seen because it's like, you know, he's standing on top of a building and then the hero Nice is the one that commits suicide, not Lin Ling. And then Lin Ling is thrust into the role of being nice, and then we follow that for a few episodes until this crazy cliffhanger where Moon is killed. Um, and and then you see Esol show up, and then it's his thing, and then Lucky Cyans, and then so on and so forth. It follows Lowly, and then Ghost Blade, and then little Johnny, and then the dog, which I can't remember the name of, and then the end is about X. And um I think of the little sub stories, my favorite was either Lucky Cyan or Queen. It's kind of hard to pick between them. The superpowers are really cool in this show, though. Like, Lucky Cyan has the power of luck. Queen can, do this crazy thing where she can, control the rules in a particular area or something crazy like that. But then we get to the mainstay of the show, X, who is in the title of the show. He's front and center in the opening of the show. And so, I thought he would be in it from episode one. He doesn't show up until near the end of the show. And normally it is very, very risky to do that kind of character build up because there's a chance that a character that has gotten so much build up and so much hype might not live to the expectations. That does not happen with X because well, first off, during this thing is where he's actually first shown. um uh because um because you see how he's participating in the tournament as this no-name guy. He easily defeats Queen the Second by snapping his fingers, and you're like, what the fuck? How did that happen? And then he just walks off, and he's X for three times in a row, and that's all we hear about him in the background until we get to episode 22, where he full on reveals his power is that he can snap his fingers and it instantly changes the entire animation style of the show. And Hux has the coolest superpowers in all of fiction, and that is such an easy claim for me to make. Um and just what absolutely marvelous character build up to X, because he exceeded all of the build up and hype that was being given to him over the course of 21 episodes. um and then the fact that the reveal that he was actually there in Lucky Science story because of the fact that his true form is just the black haired guy that works the seemingly generic office job. um and to be honest, I'm sure that he was probably present in some way in the other hero sub stories that I'm just not remembering in some way now, because he was the guy that tossed a gold coin to Lucky Cyan in her little sub story, and I'm sure that there are more examples of that because I would just trust the storytelling to be that genius. um so yeah, I don't know why I waited so long to watch this show. It is genuinely so deep. If you have not seen To Be Hero X, then I really can't recommend it enough. It's like the coolest concept I've seen done with superheroes in a very long time. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.